Hi, Paul Slackers, Good News Broadcast, speaking to Roman Yagudaev. Hi, Roman, how are you?
Good, good.
RushPassport.com, and Roman is the president of the company, and just recently they helped me get my passport. So tell us about your company.
Paul, well, I appreciate you having us. Our company, as you probably personally experienced and looked like you were happy with the service we provided, we are a registered agency of the State Department. We expedite emergency passports and visas across the country. To those last-minute travelers who are unfortunately in a bind for a last-minute emergency passport or visa. On every single day all across the country, people fall into so many different categories where they realize either their passport is missing, it's expired, it's damaged or mutilated. A lot of folks don't realize that their children's passports were only issued for 5 years, showing up to the airport realizing that theirs are for 10 and having to get replacement passports. In this particular situation, unfortunately, the government is available to the general public, and there is a phone number for people to call to make an appointment, but because of the huge demand for passports, especially during busy travel season like we have now, it is sometimes difficult to get an appointment last minute. So the only other option for most individuals is to either cancel their trip, and nobody wants to do that, or to come to a registered agency like ours to expedite their passport, and in most cases on a same-day basis.
Okay, and how are you able to do this? How are you able to make that happen?
Well, we make that happen first, and most importantly, is having the privilege from the State Department and having the licensing and registration with them to have the availability to do it. There's a lot of companies out there that do this, but they are not registered with the State Department directly. They're third parties. We are one of the few privileged agencies directly registered with the state. So all applications that we handle are processed directly by our expediters. And on the other hand, we're able to do this because of our vast experience and doing this over the last 10 years, handling applications of all facets, our experience and knowledge, and just being able to cut through all the red tape, because there's tons of it in the government system of processing applications. With so many new regulations, sometimes things are not updated so efficiently and quickly online, and even in cases that they are a little confusing to the general public. So we do simplify the process in addition to doing it on an expedited basis.
So the passport structure changed over the years? In other words,
it really has. I mean, firstly, there's been a much bigger demand for passports every year over the last many years. And also here, particularly in New York alone, which is a good example, the New York Passport Agency was available to the general public as a walk-in. Most people remember the famous building by Rockefeller Center there with the gentleman holding the globe. Were you able just to simply run in, get online, and see an agent and get your passport? But, you know, those were the days when the New York Passport Agency was not as big as it is now, and doesn't handle the volume anywhere near that it handles now. So to make it fair for the general public, to make it a level playing field for everybody, they created an appointment-based system a number of years ago, which is a very efficient and effective system. It gives everyone fair play to some extent, to call an 877 number and you set an appointment. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. You can go to the government's website and review the information. But as I mentioned to you before, in most cases, which is what we handle, the emergency passports, it's very difficult to get an appointment last minute. And even if you do, we have a big sector of our business are people that are able to make an appointment. They just don't want to do this on their own. They don't have the time to do it, to spend a day at the passport agency. The requirements may be confusing to them. They don't want to deal with the headache of all the paperwork. So in a nutshell, we handle all that on their behalf, so they don't have to go to the passport agency. With their consent, we do this on their behalf.
Well, in essence, you're being humble, I will say, because in essence, if somebody really just doesn't want to handle it at all, you're able. I mean, 6 months ahead, even. I mean, it's really it's a personal decision. Mine was going to be, in essence, so we're meeting under the. Mine was an iffy. They say 4 to 6 weeks, or so on and so forth. And I couldn't afford an iffy when I want to go away with my grandkids. So
right. Well, you know what? It's not so much an iffy as the fact that the regular means of processing goes through the mail system.
Right.
So because of it, there are delays and there are things that cannot be predicted or foreseen, such as applications being backlogged, lost, misplaced, delayed. And when you're using an expediter like ours, the advantage more so is that your documents are hand processed. They're hand to hand from you to us, from us to the State Department, back to us and back in your hand. So there is a level of reassurance and security there, and to some extent, a actual date or dates that we can give you at which your passport will be ready for pickup. And in your particular case, I think you got it way before.
Yeah, I did, and I'm very glad of it.
I do want to make clear one thing, Paul. I'm sorry to interrupt. I know the State Department has very strict policies for expediting. You do have to be traveling within 14 days or less and have an actual itinerary to provide. That is a rule we abide by all across the country. Now, in some cases where you're traveling a few months ahead of time, there are other options that we have, which is processing through the other agencies that allow or give more of a leeway to that 14-day rule, which is what happened in your particular case. But in most cases, we are able to help people, and if not so much in expediting their paperwork, we help people in putting their paperwork together, giving them applications, which we don't charge anything for, of course, and we're just a resource for travel agencies and companies all across to just call us and get information that they may not really find on the websites because it has not been updated. So we are almost like a 311 for people for passports and visas, and people are welcome to call us just with questions that they may have. We don't charge to speak with them and give them detailed, up-to-date information for travel.
Well, you by far were very knowledgeable and helped me, with all my questions. Because to be frank with you, I went to the post office also, and I love the post office. They've been a client of mine for many, 12 or so more years, and I'm crazy about them.
Right.
But they're also overworked, and the post office sends more mail in one day that can circumference the entire Earth.
Yeah, it's amazing, and most people don't realize how efficient they really are.
I'm sorry.
So many times people focus on their inefficiencies or what they don't do, but I have to agree with you, Paul. I mean, it's amazing the capacity of what they process on a daily basis.
Nah, they're probably one of the greatest in the entire world for parcel and post and so on and so forth. So, but I think at least with me is you also get a little nervous. This isn't passports, I guess, have become more I guess are always important, but especially if you have something on your mind that you want to do and you want to make sure you can do it. But in essence, filling out paperwork in this regard. What happens if you filled it out wrong and they send it back? Then you really at least those were thoughts that go on in my mind. That maybe I read something wrong where I just misunderstood. Right. That can happen, right?
Oh, absolutely. It happens every day, and a lot of clients who come to us feel comfortable using our service just for that specific reason. They just they want to make sure that we, as we do with every application, review everything, make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, because the State Department does their due diligence and does review and verify everything as they should, and we don't want any applications to be delayed for anything. So our experience in handling every aspect of passports, and we truly do handle every aspect. We're one of the few agencies that besides just doing the regular new passport or renewal or replacement, we handle special cases such as derivatives, which is a child obtaining citizenship through their U.S.-born parents or parents that obtained naturalization before they turn the age of 18. We also handle adoption cases. We handle limited passport issues. So having that experience, that carries into every aspect of what we do and every application we handle. So I agree with you. A lot of people do feel a little nervous doing it on their own. Maybe they'll leave something out or fill something in incorrectly or not include the sufficient documentation that is required.
Now, I've also learned from my airline that I had told them that I was updating my passport, and they said make sure that because I'm going out of the country, make sure that your name is exactly, my name is Paul Harvey Slatkus is my real, my official middle name, right?
Right.
And I think that I couldn't remember at the time I booked the flight. I think I told them Paul H. Slatkus, right?
Right.
And so they said, please call us back because you have to have the exact name that is on your passport.
That is an excellent point, Paul. As most recently, and I think this all comes down to the the situation here in the country that unfortunately we are dealing with right now with identity theft being one of the largest crimes. In any travel document that's being provided at the airport, the airlines are very, very particular that your name matches exactly to your passport as it appears on the itinerary, even to the extent, like you said, in your case, where you have the entire middle name written out if it appears on your passport. So that is very, very important. One other rule that a lot of airlines are now enforcing, because it has come into law as of last year, is a 3 to 6 month rule, which a lot of people are not aware of. And that is that your current U.S. passport in your possession, this is for infants, children, adults, must be at least 3 to 6 months valid prior to expiration to travel to a foreign country. So if you're leaving, for example, to Israel, let's say, and you're going next week, and your passport is not expired yet, let's say you have another month left on it, when you get to the airport, unfortunately, they will not let you board, because you do need to have 6 months remaining prior to expiration on your passport to travel to Israel.
Whoa.
Yeah,
and
so that is very important.
Is that just Israel only, or is there other countries?
No, there are a lot of countries that abide, I'd say about 80% of the countries abide by the 6 month rule. I'd say a good rule of thumb is to at least have 3 months, because a lot of countries require 3 months. And more so, it is recommended that you renew your passport to be safe across the board a year before it expires.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody check their passports.
Definitely.
And make sure that they're in order. How about if your appearance changes between?
That's a good point. That is definitely a good point. It's one of those passport tips, one of those things we would have on a passport tip list. If your appearance changes, loss of weight, gain of weight, colored your hair extensively, had maybe plastic surgery, any of these things that maybe cause a question in your mind, it's a good rule of thumb that you should update your passport, because it probably will create and cause questions at the airport or at borders that you're crossing internationally. And no one wants to be held up at the border at any foreign country.
Any other tips?
The only other few things I would recommend, and this is more for mom and dads, please remember your children's passport. If you obtain your child's passport under if they're 15 and younger, their passports are only issued for 5 years. So if you got them the same time as you got your passports, yours are for 10 years. Please don't get caught up in that situation where you're at the airport and you look at your children's passports and it's expired.
And the little babies have to have a passport too?
Yes, little babies must have a passport, because a birth certificate does not bear a photo, and for the security of the child, passports are now required to travel abroad and to return to the States. The only one other tip, if I may add, Paul, very important, a lot of people don't realize to look at the condition of their passport. The lamination on the personal page of your passport, where your photo and your personal info is, has to be intact, in excellent condition. Cracking, bent, bubbling, peeling up, any of those things, it will probably be deemed as a damaged or mutilated passport, and the airport will probably not allow you to board, so you do need to update and get a replacement.
Okay, well, I'm glad. I'm good to go.
You are good to go, and we appreciate you finding us and using our service, and we're happy to leave you with a smile as we do our best for all our clients.
Yep, and we like smiles here at Good News. That's our logo. So, Roman, thank you very much for sharing good news with us, and everybody happy. It's, in essence, in life, I think, a good thing to always keep up to date. And so everybody take a look at and make sure that you're not caught without a current passport, and in case somebody says, hey, let's go to Europe tomorrow.
Right, absolutely.
For that fact alone.
Anybody out there has any questions or anything, they can definitely contact us. They don't need to be in a passport emergency situation to contact and to speak with us.
Okay, Roman, thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays,
Happy
everybody.
holiday to
Thank
you.
you, Paul.
All right,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.